All right, so welcome everybody on TikTok. We're going to give this a minute. Let a few people tune in. Welcome everyone on Instagram. Same thing. I'm going to give this a second. Let everybody tune in. If you guys could give me a thumbs up, let me know that you can hear me and see me all right before I go ahead and get started. That would be greatly appreciated. My hair is doing crazy things, like always. All right, very good. There we go on TikTok. Good to see you guys. And it looks like Instagram is moving. So we also need Facebook and YouTube. If you could give me a thumbs up, let me know that you can hear me and see me all right. That would be greatly appreciated. All right, we're good. Thanks, Heather. Thank you, Jill. Welcome, Maraid, Yolanda. All right, we have a bunch of early questions coming in here. So if you guys haven't already submitted your question, this is my get a grip on your intuitive intelligence. If you can hear me over the cat playing with her baby. What we're going to be doing tonight is answering questions about any curious experiences that you have that you think may be connected to your intuition. If you don't know what your intuitive abilities are, this is essentially an intuitive ability assessment option. If you don't want to do that here, you can go onto my website. You can also gift that to someone. People love that reading where I tell you what abilities you have. But you can ask about anything, okay? And I'll tell you what it is that's going on, whether it's like spiritual, paranormal, your intuition, and certainly breaking down psychic, mediumistic, and empathic abilities. This is also a good time to be doing this because the psychic mediumship course begins January 7th. As does the tarot course. And so if you're wondering whether or not you have enough abilities to be able to professionally go out as an entrepreneur, a light worker, a healer, and give readings, today I'll get to the bottom of that also. All right, while we let a few people tune in, and you guys start submitting your questions, you can drop your payment, look above or below, depending on where you're tuning in to see where you can go ahead and drop your $5 gets you the short answer, $10 gets you the long answer. Jill, my beautiful producer, is going to be posting in the comments section here on TikTok and on Instagram because we're not able to pin it, okay, to the top. So you're going to have to watch there. If you don't like that or the way those platforms run, they also tend to shut me down early. TikTok will always shut me down at some point for no reason. You could switch over to YouTube at Ask Ivy, and you could do everything under the same roof there. I do want to say thank you to my YouTube members. I appreciate your continued support. Jan Phillips, Heather G, Jill Marie, Angie Johnson, Jennifer Cole, Bonnie S, D Alt, Yolanda Fisher, C J G. This cat is cracking me up. Marae D, Misubi, Mary, Audra, Robin Hartling, Chicken Mama, Tristan Marion, Edgar Velardes, Vanessa, Me Love 716, and Andrea M. I'm going to have a case of the giggles. I haven't slept in like 2 days. So when the election runs, I stay up the entire time. I don't go to bed and I'll check in the morning to see what my future life is going to look like. I am up, perched like an owl. And if it takes 3 days, I'm up for 3 days. So I didn't sleep. And then the day before I had a work mishap. And so I lost a whole night of sleep on that. So I'm a little nuts today. Bear with me. So welcome everyone. I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium, a Taino Arawak, and this is Get a Grip on Your Intuitive Intelligence, where I tell you what is going on with your intuition. Are you a psychic, a medium, an empath? If you have curious experiences you want to know more about, I will help you to identify, categorize, and we'll get educated on what's going on with that. So any kind of question goes, go ahead and submit those now. Please do give this video a thumbs up, drop a comment of any kind. It helps me out in the algorithm. And please do hit that follow and subscribe button. If you want to become a YouTube member over here on Ask Ivy on YouTube, you can hit the join button to see the 3 different tiers of membership options. $5 gets you the short answer, $10 gets you the long answer. And again, if you want to do this privately, you can go onto my website under Intuitive Ability Assessment and book one of these for yourself at ivyriverapsychicmedium.com. A couple quick announcements before we get into this today. What do we have going on? The election. That was fun. Just another disappointment. Okay, so the election here in America. You're not in America if you follow me, okay? You know the drama that will be the next 4 years and has been the last decade, okay? So I'm running a show like sort of like a pop-up live tomorrow night called The Election, and we're going to be focused on karma, 4B, and forward movement. So if you've been sort of gobsmacked by this and you're saying like, where do we go from here? What does this mean? You know, I know a lot of people are shocked. I'm not, but I get it. It did look like it was potentially going to go in a more positive direction. But we need to discuss what this means on a larger scale, on a universal level, within the bounds of the revolution that I've been talking about since like 2014, 2015. Where does this put us in alignment with the revolution? What's going on with Pluto and Aquarius? November 19th, the beginning of the revolution, the end of Pluto and Aquarius. This hasn't hit 250 years. We're talking the French Revolution, the American Revolution. What does this mean for where we are right now? Quite frankly, I'm excited about it. You know, I am not thrilled with the outcome, but I thought it was going to be a little too easy for us to just slide right in. Okay, to having a woman in a position of power. It didn't really seem like it was going to be the highest likelihood because there's too much karma to still clean up. Okay, there are too many battles to still be had. So again, we need to figure out where we are right now and where we're going next. All right, so that'll be tomorrow night, 9 p.m. here on all platforms. Again, invite any of your friends or family who are interested in understanding more about why this is happening, what it means astrologically, energetically, on a spiritual level. It's called The Election, Karma, 4B, and Forward Movement. Okay. Also, in the meantime, if ladies, you're disgusted by the fact that no men really voted at all for your rights, you should be. And I told you. All right, so check out, I think I have 4 different classes here on YouTube at Ask Ivy called 4B. The last one I did was my last 2 years in the 4B movement, how my prosperity skyrocketed after cutting men off. Okay, so we're going to talk about that tomorrow, but there are classes you can check out in the meantime also. All right, what else do we have going on? We have apocalyptic times and your intuition. Roots Revival Interfaith. So we have a church service on Sunday, the 17th at 9 p.m. here on all platforms, where I'm going to do a sermon on just that, apocalyptic times and your intuition. So if you have a lot of prophetic dreams, if you've had visions about what you think is maybe like the end times, anything ranging from militia and wars to bombings to floods. A lot of people were having these about the floods, and then they actually got hit with the floods in North Carolina and in the South here and other parts of the world. So, when we see these things, it's not necessarily that you're being paranoid or it's some kind of a nightmare. With climate change and everything happening, we are getting closer and closer to these free will potential futures becoming actually destiny charted outcomes. And we need to pay more attention. So I've been preaching on that pretty hard the last 6 years, trying to get you guys to pay attention to your apocalyptic dreams. We're going to break them down here at this church service. So check that out. Again, mark your calendars. That's Sunday, the 17th at 9 p.m. What else do we have going on? If you need a holiday gift idea, my gift certificates are up on the website, ivyriverapsychicmedium.com. If you want to give a class or a course to someone, you can go to ivyleaguepsychicacademy.com. And if you want to get certified in something like you want to become a spiritual life coach, you want to become a reverend, Reiki, you can go to Roots Revival Interfaith on the website and get gift certificates for that as well. All right, so my readings are a big hit. People love getting a gift certificate. It's a gift they will love, all right? They will need it and want it, and they won't be disappointed, okay? So it's better than socks. All right, so ivyriverapsychicmedium.com for those. What else do we have going on? Oh, it's that time. All right. So the psychic mediumship course is evergreen. Okay. If you want to get certified in psychic mediumship, or maybe you don't want the certification, but you want me to teach you how to do this. Okay. We are evergreen. What is evergreen? Well, that means anytime. So you could join at any time. However, if you wanted to join online, in person, with a live group and move along with a group, if you feel you learn more in that type of an atmosphere, I totally get it. January 7th. Okay, we start, and that's going to go 28 weeks. So we have a raffle where you can win. It is a $2,500 value. You can win a free psychic mediumship course. All right, so that's also up on the website. $5 gets you 1 ticket, $20 gets you 5 tickets, or something like that. All right, so okay, may the odds be ever in your favor on that. All right, what else do we have going on? If anything else, book your holiday party now. Holiday parties are already booking up fast. So yeah, if you wanted me to come and do a gallery show for you, private readings afterward, that's the most popular thing. We also have certified readers from the Ivy League Psychic Academy who can come out to where you are, depending on where you are, possibly anywhere in the world. All right, so book your holiday party now. My Victorian Tea and Gallery show is sold out, okay, from our Jim Manor Winery. But there's another one for next year already up, okay? She's selling out tickets for that now. So you could check out the website for that. You can go to my website and then directly click over to Margin Manor. Okay, that was the November 24th tea. Christmas on Central, I am pre-booking. If you want to pre-book with me, Christmas on Central here in Dunkirk, New York, it's the whole strip. So they have like sleigh rides, like a ton of food vendors. And then we are in all these different historical buildings, and it's really cool. And we're mixed in with the shops. So instead of it being a festival that's normally like out on the streets, there will be some things outside, but most of it is indoors. So you can dip in and out of all these really cool buildings. I mean, I would go just to roam around inside some of these buildings. So I'll be giving readings. That's going to be Saturday, November 30th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. That'll be a long day. So go ahead and pre-book with me if you want to do that. Otherwise, I will see you there, Christmas on Central. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. Jill, who do we have first? Again, if you guys are tuning in a little bit late, this is Get a Grip on Your Intuition. So any questions you have about your intuition, you can go ahead and drop. $5 gets you the short answer, $10 gets you the long answer. Manny has a $5 question. And he says, hi, Ivy, what are my spiritual abilities in regards to my contract? Am I in alignment with my abilities now? Okay, so, you know, we all come, regardless of what our life contract looks like, we all come with psychic, mediumistic, and empathic abilities, but people just have them to different degrees. One of the things you're supposed to do over the course of your entire life, and it would have started at about 6 years old, and then it peaked again between 16 and 17. We have it peaking again at 23, and then on and on and on. Okay, 33 is working with your psychic ability in regards to medical intuitive work, or being able to find things in your mind's eye. It's called remote viewing. So this could work with paranormal cleansings. It could also work with medical intuitive, like I said, but also criminal investigations, missing persons. So if this is something you've been wanting to do more of, where you are either finding lost objects, you're finding missing people, you're working with the police, you're doing energy work on someone, maybe through something like psychic surgery or chakra realignment or Reiki. But in combination with that, you're doing this medical intuitive work where you could basically scan their body and see things that have happened in the past that are coming in the future, offer healings to any parts where they have pain and things like this. We are usually more productive than the doctors and the scans and the countless tests, okay, and big pharma. So that may be something you want to look at. Brilliant. Absolutely. But yes, I think you're developing it. I just think you're developing it more in terms of like maybe predicting the weather or a circumstance or the outcome of an event in someone's life. And, you know, maybe you're doing something more like tarot or psychic readings. I would take it to the next level if I were you. The next thing that comes up for you is mediumship, and that will need to be developed a bit more, but that's about to increase on its own quite a lot. Okay. Don't let it disrupt your life. All right, thank you, Manny. We're going to move on to another one. This is a $10 question from Luda. Luda wants to know, she says, I was very good at readings in my youth. People, cards, bodies, objects, dreams. Then they were tampered for decades. During COVID, I had my dark night, and since everything is flooding back, I see angel numbers, karma, and know, especially with today's news, that I have a lot of work to do. Can you speak on that? Sure. So COVID triggered everyone, at the very least, with our empathic ability from whatever level we were on, at the very least, up to the next level. Okay. And that was due to the collective energy of suffocation and trauma and death and paranoia and fighting and I mean, everything that went on. We don't have to relive it. Okay. It was a good time. Good time. It's been a good decade. All right. So, you know, at that time, what happened was that everyone increased with their empathic ability. And what automatically comes along with psychic or with empathic ability is psychic ability. So when they started, you know, investigating more about empaths back 15, 20 years ago, they were always thinking this was something connected to psychics. And what they realized was that if we could mimic, so corporate America took over this presentation, right? It was very lucrative. There was a lot of money to be made in training their employees to pretend that they were empaths. And they looked at that research and they said, this is very profitable. So people learned how to sort of fake empathy, right? With their facial expressions and body language and when to ask someone if they were okay, if they were blatantly dying at work that day, whatever, right? And what we have found is that, you know, we are now very vulnerable because we opened up during COVID and we didn't learn in that sort of opening of Pandora's box, all the kundalini that went on with our intuitive abilities. We never learned how to manage it. So that's going to be the first place that you want to start. When you said it feels like a floodgate opened and that it came from the dark night, you know, of your soul and that whole experience, this is the next step. So here's what I tell my students. All right. The first thing we need to do is train you in boundary setting with your abilities, boundary setting with spirit, boundary setting with what you entertain, because whatever you feed, you're going to get more of. Whatever you starve, you're going to be able to control. Doesn't mean it's going to go away, but you're going to be able to control it better. So that's where you need to start. Then it's discernment training. What is high vibration versus what is low vibration? What is true? What is free will future versus destiny charted future? Okay. So we have these different aspects that we need to look at and get more educated on and get under control before you could sort of take it to the next level. The next level for you, I feel, should be readings and healings and any type of energy work, maybe spiritual life coaching, any type of messaging system. Basically, you want to give where you are open to channeling angels, ancestors, deceased loved ones, guides for the people. What that tells me is that you've also moved away from things like needing tools. Now, that's not to say maybe you don't love tools and you don't use tools, but like you may not need a pendulum, a tarot deck, anything anymore. Okay, so this is the next step. Thank you so much, Luda. Good luck with all of that. We're going to move on to another one. And this is a $10 question from Edgar. So Edgar wants to know, could you please tell me about my psychic abilities? Okay. Well, you have them. You've always had them, which shows me that they run in the bloodline. Two separate bloodlines, actually, but mostly mom's side of the family. So you would have had a lot of psychic people in your family. You would have had a lot of people who tuned it out. So what happens when people are highly psychic is they tend to deny it and they say, I don't have any of those abilities. I don't believe in any of that. They can even become hyper religious or believe that anything spiritual is demonic. Okay. So you may have seen this in your family where there were a lot of paranoid people, but they were also incredibly highly intuitive. It was undeniable. So you know, where you are right now, generations down, it lands on you. The question becomes, are you going to sort of allow society to snuff it out, as society will always do, the medical field will always do, right? Are you going to believe through religious stigma that there's something bad or wrong about it? Or are you actually going to embrace it? I feel for a while you were stuck, you were stalled out, and you were only using it for like critical decisions, you know, your own safety and things like this, making a big move. But I think you're trusting it more, and I think your dreams are increasing. So what happens with psychic ability, aka clairvoyance, your third eye, your higher mind, right, is that eventually it reaches a place where you're having prophecy at night, maybe not every night, but pretty much every night, at least a little bit. If you can remember your dreams, that'll be insanely valuable for you. Make sure you keep a notepad and a pen in your bed at all times and jot down, okay, what it is that you saw in your dreams, the major symbology, and then look it up in the morning in a dream book and figure out what the messages are that you're sending essentially to your own self, right? And with the level of psychic ability you now have, you would have what I call spillover. So you don't just get it at night when you're asleep, you now have visions even when you're awake. And this is the highest sort of level that you can reach. You don't just have visions about your own self and your own life. You're also having it about other people and possibly the world. So like world events, future events. Earlier, I was talking before we started the show about apocalyptic visions and dreams. You may have been having an increase with that. And eventually what you can expect for your own self is what we call messenger of death syndrome. It's a small portion of psychics who are able to accurately predict world events, death, illness, things like that. Okay, so you're going to want to get a handle on that as well. Okay, but it's very useful. And that also leads to hyper-religiosity. So tends to be genetic. Interesting. All right, thank you, Edgar. We're going to move on to another one. I do want to stop right now. Anyone who hasn't liked this video, please do give it a like, a share. TikTok, if you could tap those hearts, I greatly appreciate it. Do subscribe. And if you guys really want to support me, my YouTube channel at Ask Ivy is the best way to do that. Thank you. We have from Maraid, this is a $10. So Maraid wants to know, hi Ivy, how are the results of this election going to change or affect my abilities? I feel a sense of upset and no longer wanting to stay quiet. Well, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Tune in for tomorrow's show called The Election, Karma, 4B, and Future Movement. All right, we're going to talk about this as everyone moving forward with the evolution of universal order, law of attraction, the revolution itself, our intuitive intelligence, you know, what all of that means. The first thing you should expect is that probably leading up to this, you were having more, and you guys let me know in the comment sections when a message you're given here resonates with you. Okay, and I want to hear your experiences, and if we could all share with each other. We are a community and we're all learning from one another here. Okay, thank you. So, you know, leading up to this election, then, Maraid, what you may have seen are like prophecy dreams. You may have had an increase in messenger of death syndrome or a sense of like terrible foreboding. You may have developed a zero tolerance for other people's bullshit in the last 6 months. And you would have been very quick on your feet to identify even people you like, even people you've been tolerating for a long time, even people you were able to get along with before. Your tolerance level would have dropped, okay? And this is a sign that you need to be more cutthroat. You need to move faster. You need to have better boundaries in place for what is approaching that is directly going to be affecting you in your life. So what we see now is this, like you said, a desire to speak out. And what you're going to see, just like the previous question I answered here was about COVID and how COVID triggered all of her abilities, psychic, mediumistic, and empathic, you're going to see the same thing with this election. So anytime anything traumatic, dramatic, dynamic happens like this, and it affects the masses, because the US election affects the whole entire world, right? We're the big leagues. So you're going to be affected by that energy. So you can expect an increase in all three of your intuitive intelligences. And now the question just becomes, what do you want to do with it? The drive that you're having to speak out is not coming from a place of like defeat or arrogance or like, I want to fight, you know, like we see so many disgusting posts today of people whose lives aren't affected at all by this, rubbing the winnings in the face of the victims whose lives could potentially be destroyed by this. You're not coming from that toxic, low level, okay, nasty karmic energy that they're going to have to work through. You are achieving higher vibrational levels. And when you have sort of mastered these karmic levels, you become a master teacher. And you're going to have a drive to speak. Now, you're not going to know exactly what you want to say. And that's where we need to polish things up a little bit. When do you want to say it? Who do you want to say it to? What do you want to say? But I would definitely say start opening your mouth. And at the very least, start taking notes and don't hold on to them and hoard them. If you have something to say, spit it out, okay? But it'll mostly come up through the readings you're giving, okay, or healings. But don't forget, just even making a video can be very healing, okay? So yeah, master teacher position. Interesting. All right, thank you, Maraid. We have another one coming in from a Yolanda. This is a $5 question. All right, Yolanda, $5. Good to see you, Yolanda, one of my YouTube members. So is Maraid. I appreciate you guys. Can you tell me if my abilities have changed for the worse or better? Well, I mean, the abilities themselves don't change for the worse, of course, but you managing them can slip and slide and go in a out of control direction for sure. That's something, like I said, I'm always teaching my students is like boundaries and self-control and maintenance of it before we can sort of level up and give it out freely, you know. And that's kind of where you are. I'm not going to sugarcoat. I do feel like you have a way of not necessarily backsliding into it being out of control. And you being overwhelmed with your abilities, but more like stagnant. And what can happen with that is that, you know, you're constantly being woken up and you don't know what to do about it. 3 to 5:30 in the morning, the haunting hour. You know, it can happen intermittently, even throughout the night. Basically, anytime you're relaxed, you could feel bombarded also by a lot of spirits and psychic information coming to you that isn't very pleasant. And it's not necessarily useful. So just because you're getting information or just because an atmosphere is, you know, showing you what occurred there, or a spirit is trying to communicate you, it doesn't mean you have to entertain all of this. So you need to get to a place where you're picking and choosing what it is that you want to entertain and what it is that you plan to do with it if you do entertain it. All right. And that's going to come through education. So until you know what it is, you don't really know how to deal with it, you know. So I do think we could clean things up a little bit there. But no, I don't feel as though your abilities have changed for the worse. I would even say that, and for those of you listening to Yolanda's answer here, you know, any increase, in my opinion, any increase in intuitive intelligence can be positive if we use it wisely. All right. So it's about self-control. It's about discernment, right? It's about giving it out because you can't just hold it in. So what are you going to do with it? Yeah. So the stagnancy isn't coming from your abilities. The stagnancy is coming from your lack of working with it, evolving it, okay, beyond where it started. And that could feel dramatic or traumatic or depressing. It could cause anxiety, okay? Migraines, irritable bowel syndrome, ADD-like symptoms, tingling in the mouth, the hands, the face, the feet, you know, randomly, you feel dizzy a lot. I mean, it takes one heck of a toll on the physical body, all right? And the emotional self, for sure. All right, let's move on to another one. Thank you, Yolanda. Again, I want to hear in the comment section if you guys are identifying with any of this. Who has that, okay, where you just feel like overwhelmed. You don't know where it's coming from. Probably your doctor doesn't either, nor does your therapist, nor do the pills work. It's always this. Julie has a $10 question. So Julie says, I'm seeing energy in my peripheral vision, especially while I'm driving. Why is it coming up and where is it leading me? Well, nowhere. I mean, literally like a dog chasing its tail, okay? Like a mouse on a wheel. It will literally lead you nowhere. You have to lead yourself. You have to make the decision to say, I clearly have some abilities going on. I'm going to, you know, sort of grab it by the balls and I'm going to figure out what I want to do with this. You first, again, I feel like I'm a little bit of a broken record here tonight, but you have to get control over it, which means you're controlling your own self, okay, and controlling these abilities. You need to use your discernment. Is it high vibration, low vibration? Is it useful? Is it not useful? You know, what am I supposed to do with it? And then you need to make the decision as to whether or not you're going to fully develop it, polish it up, get the details and give it out. Ultimately, with you, what you're starting to really do is see things, and that's clairvoyance, but clairvoyance comes in two different ways. So from the age of like 3, it starts to peak, and then between 5 and 6 years old, we have brain development on the right side that pulls us sort of out of seeing with our literal eyes all of the spirits, you know, and the energy and the orbs and the shapes and all that stuff. We start seeing it more around 5, 6 years old in our mind's eye, but it never completely stops. When you're dozing off, you're waking up and the veil is lifted between the worlds, you would be able to see. If you're if you ate mushrooms, okay, you would see easier than other people. If you are meditating, okay, even motion meditation, like driving the car or walking, doing your cardio, you on the treadmill, you may see a lot more. But ultimately, clairvoyance is the ability to see things either literally with your eyes and or in your mind's eye, and it's telling a story. So, you know, you're going to want to get to the point with all of this where you're asking, like, why is this here? What does it mean? And that's no simple answer that I can give you today. It depends on the moment. It depends on what the heck you're seeing. I think what you want to start doing now too is breaking down whether you're seeing a spirit, you're seeing a ball of energy, you're seeing something in your peripheral that is connected to the atmosphere that you live in. A great example is here in my 1882 Victorian funeral home. When we do ghost hunts and haunted sleepovers, people are like, oh my God, I saw that. Did you see that? Did you see that? And it's not necessarily something like a spirit trying to communicate with you, but it's residual energy. It's the image of something that happened there once. You know, it's like a record on repeat. It's replaying itself in that space at that time every day, and you happen to catch it. You know, it's freakish. So you need to start asking, like, is it that? And you should also start asking more about the things you're seeing in regards to animals. Because usually when people start tapping back into this energy, again, this ability that you really had when you were around 5, you know, started to cut off, it starts with animals or elementals. You see them down low and off to the sides, scampering about, okay, moving up the walls, things like that. We want to know what you're seeing, right? So keep a journal, start breaking it down. All right, thank you, Julie. That's a great question. Always interesting. We have another one from Catherine. What is my next level upgrade with my spiritual abilities and intuitive intelligence? This one's really falling more in your hands. You're in a bit of a free will zone right now. So, you know, it's up to you what you choose to do. You may actually find that if you don't do something with it, it'll stall out. So, anyone ever have this where for a few years you feel like you have no spiritual development, right? Which is not happening. Spiritual development is completely separate from intuitive intelligence, but we tend to connect the two as a concept. But you may feel that you're not really hearing from spirit. Okay, that's spiritual, I guess, right? We're not getting any new psychic hits. You're not having any really like amazing new types of dreams. It's just the same old, same old. If ever you guys have had a stalling out, it can happen because you're not really doing anything with what you were already given. All right. So it's up to us to utilize these abilities and to take them up to the next level. And so I think that's where you are, Catherine. I think you need to make some decisions about what it is that you want to have more of, what you want to get more of, right? When my students come in, I have them make a list. I want more of this. It's a great time to be greedy, you know, to really sort of paint. You have a blank canvas. You can paint it any way you want. What do you want to do with this? And then we have to start looking at what you already have in place. What is already activated for you? And we want to look at whether or not you want more of that. You need to polish it up. Do you fully understand it? Do you know how to use it? And I think that for you, you're going to want to do more in communications and pay attention to the information that comes in through you when you're around other people. Now, when I say you being around other people is creating like a messaging system, right? It doesn't have to be that you're in physical contact. You don't have to be on the subway elbow to elbow in New York with people. It can happen through the computer. It's what I'm doing right now, right? I get on my social media, for example, and all of a sudden I have all this information coming through for these people. It can happen when you're in line at the bank. It can happen whenever it's happening. Family and friends, you need to start noticing more about the types of messaging that are coming through for the people around you. So for you, it's going to be a combination of like spirits coming through, trying to pass a message through you. Okay, pay attention to left ear ringing, like a tinnitus in your left ear. The grandmothers used to say left for love, right for spite, and that was fairly accurate. It's the left ear for mediumship. You're going to want to pay attention also to the visions you're having, your clairvoyance activating. So here's a great example. Sometimes, you know, somebody approaches me, and as they approach me, I stop seeing them and I start seeing in my mind's eye what they just went through or what they were doing that day or something that happened in their life or some storyline that's going on with them, right? And so I know there's probably a message in there for them. Do I give it? Do I not give it? That's debatable, you know, but this is where you are right now. So we need to look at what is your messaging system for other people about, and in what way do you want to communicate that out? I would love to say, oh, you could do it anyway. You could do, there are a million things you could do, but really for you, I think it literally has to come out of your mouth. I think we need to focus on that for a while. Okay. At least a year and a half. All right. Thank you so much, Catherine. We're going to move on to another one. This is also from Edgar. This is a $10. Edgar wants to know, could you please tell me about my mediumistic abilities? Your mediumship abilities seem to run through the bloodline on dad's side of the family, and I think also a female on mom's side of the family. So you've got it coming in both directions, and you know, what do you want to do about it? I think you're probably going to find that within the next like year and a half, maybe to a year and 8 months, it's going to be a bit intrusive. And I think that if you're working with people or you're talking with people, so this could be social, this could just be like if you're at work, this could be literally like when you're online, sort of like I was saying to the last girl here, you know, you could start to receive messages for them. Now it can be confusing for you for a while to figure out that that is what is happening. We see that when spirits come through, they're not all the best communicators, okay, by far. So they have different ways of communicating. I call it the lost language. And this is the art of learning psychic mediumship, you know. So if every spirit is going to communicate differently, you have to get skilled in all the languages and styles so that you're good at hearing from all of them and really understanding what the heck they're there for, okay? Mostly though, for a while, and I wouldn't let it disrupt your life, but I would expect that when they come through to pass a message on through you or to tell you something about someone you're talking to, what can happen is that you get like an upset stomach, again, with the ear ringing, the tinnitus, the annoying, okay, going deaf. You may have the numbness in the lips, the tingling in the tongue, the mouth. You may feel almost like you're having an anxiety attack or like heart palpitations. I feel for you, I have that one. So anxiety attacks are just a normal part of mediumship for a lot of people. And you may have what we call clairsentience. Clairsentience is the ability for you to feel in your body what they went through in life or at the time of their passing. It's called a physical impression that they pass on to you to give you some identification, okay, so that when you're delivering a message for them, which you may not even be doing, you get it right. Okay. You're able to say to the other person, oh, I have your grandfather here and he died from a heart attack and a hip replacement and sepsis. You know what I mean? It's like, that's lovely, you know, for you to have to feel in your body. But as soon as you acknowledge it, it will go away. So you're going to have to learn how to do this. You're going to have to learn how to stop and decipher where it's coming from and decide, you know, whether you just want to sort of address the spirit or you actually want to pass on that message. So that's where your mediumship is headed, and that's where it's been. I also feel in your bloodline there may have been some significant shamanism going on, like tribal healing, and you may be playing that out in your life, in this life as well. So we're talking about some past life stuff, like ancestral influence, but through past lives, so a little bit different. But yeah, that'll come out in your work as well. So that means that for you, when you're using your mediumship, you're not necessarily just talking to people. You could be doing it through other forms of energy work. Interesting. Okay, thank you, Edgar. We are going to move on to another one. Just a reminder for everyone tuning in, if you're watching today and you're like, oh, that's wonderful, but like, I don't have time to do this today, or, you know, I don't want to do it publicly or whatever, you can go onto my website, ivyriverapsychicmedium.com, and you're going to click on Intuitive Ability Assessment. Okay, we're taking all kinds of questions about weird, curious experiences. Anything goes here today. Do we have any more? Are we at time? We are at time. Okay, Jill, can you pop up one more time tomorrow on the screen? You guys tune in tomorrow. I'm doing like a pop-up live. It's called The Election. Karma, 4B, and forward movement. If you're wondering what to do after this election cycle, what does this mean? You know, what are the next steps? We're going to break it down based on the revolution, the astrology, and stuff I've been talking about since like 2015. All right. And then we have coming up also, mark your calendars, Roots Revival Interfaith. We have a church service coming up on the 17th, focused on apocalyptic times and your intuition. So if you've been having like premonition dreams, apocalyptic type dreams, and now you're starting to see these things actually happen in real time, we're going to break down why that's happening. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Spirit. See you guys next time.